الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we need to thank Allah for the blessings that He's given us. We keep touching on this point again about being grateful. Gratitude is a great quality, and gratitude is expressed by how we use the blessings. We understand how grateful someone is by how well he uses that blessing. So Alhamdulillah, actually, I had tried to give this talk earlier, but for some reason I had issues with streaming. So, alhamdulillah, we thank Allah on this news of the reopening of the masajid. It was from Allah that the masajid were closed. And in everything there is a blessing. There is some wisdom. Like I have mentioned again and again, and this is a topic, a theme which will keep on coming up. Because there many times we face situations, difficulties, which we don't understand why they're happening. But there is a wisdom behind them. So why were we deprived? Why were we prevented from going to the masjids? This is not any particular authority which has stopped us. Maybe they were the means of it, but they were not the direct cause of us not going. Allah had intended for some reason out of His wisdom that we would not be going to the masajid. Now, alhamdulillah, the masajid are open to us. And inshallah, from this Monday, they will be open to us. So there are some restrictions in place. But really what we should be feeling is a sense of joy. That alhamdulillah, the masjid is open for us. Many of us, we have this, we take it for granted. We take it for granted. We have a sense of entitlement that I am entitled to the masjid. I am entitled to go. There's anytime I want to go, I can go. But Allah showed us that it was not the case. Maybe we have grown up feeling that we can go whenever we want to go. But really, it is the tawfiq of Allah. When Allah gives us tawfiq, then we get the chance to go to the masjid. When He gives us the opportunity to go to the masjid, then only can we go to the masjid. We cannot go just because we feel like it, because we are free, because we have a car to go there. No. Allah is the one who allows people. Allah is the one who puts obstacles and hindrances for people. So we had some time to reflect. We had some time to think, what is my connection with Allah? What is my connection with the house of Allah? Many of us, we were feeling very disturbed that we cannot go to the masjid. Now, alhamdulillah, this opportunity has been given to us again. And there are many virtues of going to the masjid. There are many virtues. One is that the one who loves the masjid, man alif al-masjid, alifahu Allah. The one who loves the masjid, Allah loves him. Amongst the people who will be under the shade of Allah's arsh on the day of judgment will be that person whose heart was attached to the masjid. So what does it mean that a person whose heart is attached to the masjid? A person who wishes to go back to the masjid. He wishes to spend as much time as possible inside the masjid. He wants to spend his time in the amal of the masjid. And when he is taken out, he feels, he's uncomfortable. Just like a fish taken out of water. How does fish, it is flat, it's flipping and flapping around. It's just waiting for that moment to get back into the water. It's doing whatever it can just to get back into the water. So in the same way that the person whose heart is attached to the masjid, he is waiting for that opportunity. He might have been prevented from going to the masjid for some reason. He wanted to go, but he was stopped. Some obstacle, some difficulty came in his way. Maybe he had some work. Maybe he was sick. You can name it. There's countless reasons why a person will not go. But he is just waiting for that moment to go back inside the masjid. So, alhamdulillah, Allah make us from these people. If we have not been from these people so far, then let us get this realization that we should not take the masjid for granted. We should not take this invitation to go to the house of Allah for granted. Many of us, we have taken it for granted, but it is not. It is not so easy. It is not so simple. And Allah has shown us. And my respected friends, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the people who love the masjid. He loves the people who love the masjid. He loves the people who stay in the masjid. COVID made many things clear to us. This whole COVID situation, is a blessing from Allah. It opened up our eyes. At least it opened up my eyes. That health should not be taken for granted. Our family should not be taken for granted. So many things which are around us, we have taken for granted, we should not take for granted. So many things which we felt were necessary. I can't live without my French vanilla. Well, now you've been living for 2-3 months without your French vanilla. I can't live without going out and seeing this and doing that. Oh, my friend, you've been living, and who was there for you? Was it your 400, 500 Facebook friends, or your 2,000 Instagram followers? Or was it your mother, your father, your brother who you can't stand, your sister who you don't want to see? At least that's how sometimes we act like that. So who was there for you? And Allah was there. So in the same way, it makes us understand what we had, what we took for granted. Like this, the masajid. And one particular point comes to mind, that during this COVID era, and Allah take us out of it sooner than later, there are many people who lost their jobs, many people who were waiting to go back to work. They were ready, but the employer told them, look, there's no work now. I can't pay you. Go home. There's nothing I can do for you. The employer told them, go home. The worker said, I'm ready. I can come in. I want to work. The employer told him, look, I got nothing for you. Go home, and you're laid off for 2 months or until things settle. I'll call you back if things are all right. This is the dealing with the humans. This is the dealing with people. Now, when we contrast that to how is Allah's dealing with us, in hadith is mentioned that a person who goes to the masjid and then he remains in the masjid. So the story of the hadith is a bit longer. That Sahaba, they spent some time, they were waiting for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam for their Isha Salah. And he got delayed, he got held back. So they kept on waiting. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he saw them waiting like this till pretty much midnight. So he said that, shouldn't I give you good news? That waiting for Salat, a person is rewarded as if he was in Salat. A person who is waiting for Salat, he is rewarded as if he is in Salat. This is the meaning of the hadith. So he said that, look, there were many people who went and they prayed and then they went to sleep. Their reward came to an end. But you remained here waiting for Salat. So this entire time you got the reward as if you were in Salat. Think about that. Our employers in the world are not ready to pay us when we are waiting, when we are expecting to do work, when we are ready to do work. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so generous that He wants us to come to the masjid. While we are waiting for the salat in the masjid, we're getting the full reward, we're getting the full salary, we're not laid off. We're getting the full salary as if we are inside, as we are performing salat. So like that, Allah is a generous giver. And this has been reopened to us, inshallah, once the masajid reopen. So, my respected friends, let us not take these blessings for granted. Let us value them. Now the masajids are open. Inshallah, they will be open shortly. So let us make it a point that we go to the masjid. Of course, all these safety guidelines, be safe. Follow the safety guidelines. Watch out for yourself. If someone is sick, do not put others at risk. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned that someone who had eaten garlic, someone who had eaten raw garlic or raw onions, should not come to the masjid until he's cleaned his mouth, because he will harm others with the smell. So what about a person who has a disease which could cause the death of someone, or which can make them sick for a prolonged period of time? If someone is sick, do not go to the masjid. Remain safe at home. Guard yourself and guard others. But if we are well, then we should try to go to the masjid, guarding, being mindful of the safety guidelines. And, different masajid across the city will have different, guidelines, how they want to operate. So inshallah, please cooperate with the people. Please cooperate with the administration of your respective masajid. Make things easy for them so that they can make things easy for you, and that we don't get, we're not, and, just as we, before, as mentioning and thinking of entitlement, that we felt very entitled. So we would park whenever we wanted, wherever we wanted. We'd block whoever we wanted. But now we should understand that everything is a blessing. The fact that we are going to the masjid is a blessing. So do not park like someone who's entitled. He just drives and he parks right wherever he wants, blocking whoever he wants. No, be respectful. Be respectful in everything that we do. Respectful to our neighbors, respectful to the other musallis, respectful to the administration, so that we can continue our salat. We can continue visiting the masajid without harming ourselves, without harming our fellow musallis, without harming the neighbors, and so on and so forth. So may Allah give us the value of the masajid. May Allah give us the tawfiq to populate the masajid. May Allah give us the tawfiq to guard the masajid and be a means of them remaining open and of their good spreading to the entire world, rather than making us a means for the masajid to close down. Allah give us all this tawfiq. آخر الدعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحان الله وبحمده. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك. نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون. والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله